Boom, boom, this is Henry, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing some reviews on Azur Lane over the next, it's probably going to take us the next few months. We're going to be reviewing all of the ships. So I'm going to start with some of the ships that you acquire early in the game and then work your way up. We're also not going to focus just on them in terms of what they do in the game, but actually focus a little bit on what they did in real life, so you can get a more broader view of how Azur Lane pertains to history, and you'll find out why some of the events and stuff as this time goes on actually really happened, and they really took place, which is one of the things that really makes this game so enjoyable. So let's talk about our first ship here, the USS Enterprise CV6. Okay. USS Enterprise, she's a Yorktown class carrier built for the United States Navy during the 1930s. She was actually commissioned on the 3rd of October 1936, and she was built down in Newport News, Virginia, by Newport News Shipbuilding. So if you're familiar with the United States, that's on the East Coast, right down by Virginia. So she was built on the Atlantic side, and that's where she originally started her duty, was on the Atlantic. She took part in a shakedown cruise with Captain Newton White initially in command. She went down to Rio de Janeiro. Just, that's a shakedown cruise just to work the bugs out, as they say. After that, Captain Charles A. Pownall, I think I said that right, took command on the 21st of December. Okay, she operated along the East Coast as where she was built, and in the Caribbean, patrolling the East Coast of the United States in the Atlantic. And then she was ordered to duty in 1939 to the Pacific, and that is where she will wreak havoc on the Imperial Japanese Navy during World War II. So let's take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look here what she done. Now, she has a very storied career, as I'm sure you're aware of. So she was colloquially called the Big E, and it's just because of her sheer size. And she was the 6th aircraft carrier of the United States Navy. And she was one of only 3 that would survive World War II, the other being Saratoga and Ranger. So Saratoga, Ranger, and Enterprise all survived the war. She participated in more major actions of the war against Japan than any other United States ship. These include the attack on Pearl Harbor. And most people don't know this. She actually launched 18 Douglas SPD dive bombers, and they arrived over the harbor during the attack. 7 were shot down, 8 airmen were killed, and 2 were wounded. And that makes her the only American aircraft carrier with men at Pearl Harbor during the attack, and the first to sustain casualties during the Pacific War. She also participated in the Battle of Woodway, the Battle of Eastern Solomons, the Battle of Santa Cruz Islands, various sea engagements during the Guadalcanal campaign, the Battle of the Philippine Sea, and the Battle of Leyte Gulf. She is the most decorated ship in World War II. She earned 20 battle stars, so that's pretty good. She was also the first American ship to actually sink a full-sized enemy warship in the Pacific War when it had been declared on Japan, when she sank Japanese submarine I-70 on the 10th of December 1941. Now, if you remember watching the Azur Lane anime, you remember that they call her the Gray Ghost. And the reason for that is quite frequently because on 3 occasions during the war, the Japanese announced that she had been sunk in battle, when she, of course, hadn't. And by the end of the war, her planes and guns had down to 911 enemy planes, sank 71 ships, and damaged or destroyed 192 more. So as you can see, she was very, very instrumental in us winning the war against Japan. Now, there's no currently an Enterprise operational aircraft carrier format. There is one under construction, the CVN-80. Started construction back in 2017 with the steel cutting ceremony, and it's being built down in Newport News as well. And it's due to be active 2027, roughly. And she's going to be a member of the Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, which is the aircraft class carrier, which is the next level. So she's definitely going to be the most powerful aircraft carrier on the planet when she is launched. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got in game here in terms of how you want to build her and set her up. So you'll be able to get her fairly early in the game. I got her within, within playing 3 or 4 days. I scrapped her up because she dropped right into my lap. So you definitely should be able to get her pretty early game, and they'll make it so that you can. You can also get her. She will sometimes show up in the actual. If you go into the build and the exchange, you'll sometimes see her right here instead of Belfast. This alternates. You'll see Belfast, San Diego, Enterprise. They put a lot of good ships there, so you always want to check it. So let's take a look at the stats that she's got and how you want to build her in terms of equipment. So, as you can see, I have her oathed, so these stats are pretty much max that you can get from her. So if we take a look at her health hit points, she's got 6,544. That's a little bit higher than normal, and these are of course at 120, so this is the max stats. So you definitely want to. She's got a little bit more hit points than normal. The plus 130 is because of these 2 steam catapults I have, as well as the plus 311. I'll show you those when I show her the gear. And aviation is a little bit higher. It's the highest. It's higher than Kagi and Akaga. So aviation is how an aircraft carrier does damage. She doesn't have any firepower because she doesn't have any guns. Okay. She's medium armor. Reload's about 140, so that's slightly higher than normal. Anti-aircraft is also slightly higher than normal, but none of these are so high that it's like amazing, like FDG with her hit pool that's like her power and firepower, which is completely off the scale. You're not going to see that here. One thing she does have that is much higher than normal is luck. Now, luck affects 3 things that are very important. It affects the critical hit rate. So she's going to hit critical more often. Chance to evade, which again it allows her to survive longer, and chance to hit, which is very important. However, that's not very important for her because when Lucky E procs her skill, it completely annihilates everything on the screen. So chance to hit is not all that important in terms of her. So let's take a look at what you get after you get her. You want to get her up to level 10. That would be your first limit break, and you get +1 to all of her fighters, and aircraft efficiency is +3%. At tier 2, you get a hangar capacity of 1. You get another dive bomber and aircraft efficiency at +5%. And at tier 3, you get all aircraft +1, aircraft efficiency at +7. And those limit breaks are very important because that's one of the reasons that she's able to pretty much clear the entire screen when she launches her sortie, because of all the aircraft that she has, and because of the increased luck with the chance to hit the critical hit rate, it just wipes the screen. With Lucky procs, it just annihilates. So let's take a look at that skill, and so you can see exactly what it involves. So it's called Lucky E, and it says when she launches an airstrike, okay, there's a 70% chance for the airstrike to deal double damage and for the ship to evade all enemy attacks for 8 seconds. That's important because 8 seconds of not getting hit, which means you survive longer. And that's every time she launches an airstrike when Lucky procs. And it procs 70% of the time. And believe me when I say it procs often. I always see it procced. It's amazing how often. I would swear that it's higher than 70%. But that's what it's listed at. So it procs quite often, and it does a ton of damage because of all the airplanes that you've got. If it deals double damage, then it wipes. In PvP, you'll wipe a Vanguard in 1 shot, which is one of the reasons she's a staple in PvP. She's not used quite as much now as she used to be, simply because of the fact that there's a lot of ships that offer the buffs. For instance, you've got Queen Elizabeth, who offers a buff to all HMS ships, so you want to use HMS ships. And you've got Nagato, who offers buffs to all Imperial Japanese Navy ships, so you want to use Kagi and Kaga. And Bismarck does the same thing. You want to use Tripits, and maybe use a Graf Zeppelin or something for carrier, which is what I'm using right now. I'll be changing that to FDG once I get her built. She's a priority ship under construction. So that's what you want to look for in terms of getting her limit broke as fast as possible. Now, the key is aircraft efficiency. Always make sure that your efficiency is 125%. I am, for the sake of just keeping with the theme, using American aircraft on her. I'm using the FCF Hellcat, the BD-1 destroyer for my dive bomber, and as a torpedo bomber I'm using the Swordfish of the 818 squad. This is an excellent ship right here. This ship right here decreases the speed of enemies hit by this aircraft torpedoes by 60% for 8 seconds. So this is literally going to slow down the other team. It makes them easier to hit. Okay, you can't. This ship is, you can get it in the Merit shop, so you can build it from the Core shop or the Merit shop. One of the two will have this in there. So if you see that up, definitely purchase it. It's definitely worth it. I put steam catapults on because of the aviation skill, and increasing it by 88. And aviation is how you do damage. So this is a damage increase, and then hit points of 65. I've got 200, and I'm working on getting those up to 10. So now one of the things that has, you know, of course, caused her to not be used in PvP so much anymore. She's still used a lot. I use her myself every now and then, just when I feel like wiping a screen of the enemy. I do include her in my HMS fleet a lot, just to give me some extra damage from an airstrike, because the HMS fleet standardly uses Hood and Warspite on the edges, or Warspite and Monarch on the edges. And as you know, neither of those are aircraft carriers, so they're destroyers. So I like to use the Enterprise when I want to feel like I need a little bit more damage, and I put her in. But she doesn't have, since she doesn't buff any other types of ships. She doesn't have a skill that does that. So in terms of pairing her up in a fleet, you want to pair her with ships. Any ship that has the air support skill. Air support skill automatically increases the aviation by a percentage point for any of the ships that it's with. So pairing Long Island with Enterprise is a very good choice, and you'll get Long Island fairly early in the game as well. So pairing her with Enterprise is definitely something you consider. And as she is an aircraft carrier, you do want to make sure that she's got some protection from other enemy aircraft, which is why I pair her with San Diego, who is the best anti-aircraft in the game. Getting her anti-air fully maxed out with San Diego, and San Diego makes sure that no planes get to her before they get shot down. So that is very important as well. And then from then there are numerous of any other ships. You can pair with anything, since she's not going to offer a buff to any other USS ships, Eagle Union ships, and you can use pretty much anything with her. You feel free to stick her wherever you want, and that's another thing that makes her important. She's a single nuker that can clear an entire screen. And since you get her early, she's very, very, very popular ship, and that's a title that's very well earned. So yeah, so that's it. That's it for the Enterprise here, and I'm going to give you guys and show you my original skin for her. I actually have oathed her, so let's go ahead and put the oath skin on her, which is what I normally wear. I just took it off just to give you the standard thing here. And there you go, USS Enterprise, Eagle Union. So, hope you like the video. We're going to be doing every ship. I'm going to start on there's a lot of ships, so we probably won't do every single ship, but we'll definitely do all the top tiered ships, SR rank ships, epic ships, and new ships that come out, and we'll also talk about a little bit of how you want to do with the team building for. But this is it for this video for the USS Enterprise, and I want to thank everybody for watching my video. Remember to go ahead and put a like on the video, and remember to subscribe to my channel. Also click on the bell, ding ding, and you'll be notified every time I drop a video. So this is Kenrick coming at you from the corner, signing out.